What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. Now let's get into the shit I don't agree with. I don't understand the whole video game thing.
Yeah, me neither.
I was like, okay. I mean, if first of all, it's a matter of the times. This happens to a lot of old people anyway. It's the matter of the times. Times change. And everybody wants to hate on these millennials. Millennials are the ones that are changing the world. Mm-hmm. Where the baby boomers was the ones that's fucking up this world. And Undertaker made a comment and was just like, you know, he's in his mid-50s. Right now, I'm not saying he's old, but like on a rocket chair. But he's
old to be in the locker room like that every day.
He's mid-50s, right? And he says, I don't know what I want to do in my life. Because all he had is wrestling, right?
Wait a minute now. You know what? I'm going to say. Alright. Continue. I'm not going to reply to that.
Okay. So, and I'm just like, but yet, let's look at Xavier Woods, right? Because he's the biggest game guy, right? This man has a PhD. He went to school, got his PhD, wrestles, has a hosting job at G4, and has a successful gaming channel. Also, he is living very successfully. And look at his life, and he's only his early 30s.
Yep.
So, a lot of these guys, all they had was wrestling. But here's the thing: I don't understand if you go back to 1989, 1990, if you took what this generation has and put it back then, they would do the same shit. You could not bring Atari or a Nintendo with you at the time to place because they don't have it. What you gonna do? You got to find a TV with a coax cable.
Yeah, you gotta find out this different stuff.
You know what I'm saying? And the way you're traveling, you're not gonna be hooking.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. I feel like Xavier Woods was made with family.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I'm saying, but back in 1990, you're not doing that. And on top of that, the guns and knives that they probably carry because of the whole Bruiser Brody thing. But Undertaker's acting like they played dominoes with BSK back in the day. Mm-hmm. But that's what they had.
Kurt Angle brought milk to drink for fun.
I'm just like, there was no Nintendo Switch back then. There barely was Game Boy back then.
Yeah, they had to wrestle with each other to entertain themselves. Obviously, on the plane ride, we know.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, but and they had to play games like dominoes or stuff like that, or play cards because that's what they had. And good Lord, we can say this all the time if we want to. If there was social media back in the 90s, 3/4 of people was canceled. Canceled. Yeah. Okay.
3/4. Yeah. All right.
Well, you think it's more?
Probably. We'll know. It'd be like Godfather. Hey, Godfather be on live. Look, I'm doing Coke on live and with live. Oh.
Yeah. No. I mean, said justice. Stabbing Arn Anderson. First of all, and yeah, just let them go on social media and talk about their political views on social media in 1990. Shit. All right, bruh, please. Canceled. Okay. Cancel culture would have started all the way back then, and that's what they would have used it if they had it back then. So why is it a thing that, look, I'm the kind of guy who, I'm an old school kind of guy also. Okay? I said I don't update when I'm supposed to. My wife helps me with all the updating and stuff like that. But I am educated to know this. Let me put a Nintendo Switch back in 1990. You don't think nobody gonna play that?
Nah, they gonna play it, and if not, then they gonna. Some be like D'Lo Brown or somebody play. Mark Henry, I feel like playing the game.
But see, they came kind of in the beginning of the video game. Remember, D'Lo Brown used to bring the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about.
You want to go further than that?
No, I'm talking about Macho. I'm talking Undertaker's era. Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Vader, Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice, Yokozuna. That's what I'm talking about. Lex Luger. I'm talking about.
Warrior definitely, real quick, Warrior definitely would have been doing Coco live.
The shit that they saw backstage back then, especially when it wasn't an unsafe environment in the first place, that's probably why all the knives and guns are being. I'm like, but so, yeah, I gotta be a real man to bring a knife and a gun. And I'm like, a lot of these old guys is being hypocrites. They're being hypocrites.
Yep.
And I'm like, yo, you really got, I'm like, people talk about how I was listening to Solomon. He was like, it's funny how the Undertaker called everybody soft, but he wore more online than all the women did.
Oh yeah, his character, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, and then I'm like, you did what you had to do back then for the times. The times are changing. That's what's happening. The time, like, so if you had walked back there so let's just say this: you walk back in the arena now, and you got people with guns and knives on them. It's called they're getting arrested. You're going to jail. You bring a metal detector there. That's what's going to happen. That's what's happening at the Capitol right now. Got a metal detector there because people won't bring guns in there. Why? It shouldn't be no guns in the first place. Gilbert Arenas brought a gun. What happened to him? Got in jail. He wanted to be all tough. Look what happened to his NBA career because of that shit right there.
I think you just hate Gilbert Arenas.
I hate Gilbert Arenas. I don't like Gilbert Arenas at all, unless he's on my team and he does stuff good for me. But other than that, I don't like Gilbert Arenas. But I'm just saying that comment is dated a lot, and a lot of superstars, obviously, say a couple things. Xavier Woods said, "I wouldn't be the person that I am without the guidance and lessons of a few key people from the previous generation of wrestling. They taught me about the business to save my money, and that having video games in the locker room is healthier than retracted." Thank you guys. Then who is Drama King Matt? Do you know who that is?
That's I didn't make sure, but I think that's what's the dude's name with Rusev?
Oh, Kip Sabian?
No, with Rusev. No, the other one. No,
you said Rusev, that's Miro, so
I mean the other one, the Rusev Day. I can't remember.
Aiden English.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think who that is. Yeah, that's who that is. Yeah.
He said, "I understand where someone from his era and times thinks this. Nothing but the utmost respect. However, in the 2000s, in the 2020s, I think it's amazing. It's a lot of fun and camaraderie for the locker room. Would you rather we do drugs?" Just asking. I mean, I don't honestly care what Trent says because I hate the best friends anyway. So, but those were some of the some of the comments that were made from here. Hold on, my wife just entered the podcast, so I'm pretty sure she has something to say. So I am going to pass the microphone over. No, it's fine.
She said she just wanted to listen. You just put her on the spot.
No, she raised a hand. Oh yeah.
I just wanted to say, because when I read this, I instantly got the thought of reading between the lines. This very much gives me the air of the whole, we were men, like we were manly men kind of thing. More so, instead of, the product's off, he's talking about the people, one. And two, it definitely gives me vibes of I miss when we were able to be toxic. And not necessarily just because, it's video games and everything. Let's be honest. Undertaker very much gives me, we do the locker room talk, you know, the things of our former president kind of deal, where it's like, oh, we say that kind of stuff in the locker room, and that's fine. Everybody's like, no, it's not. But that's you get that a lot. Like, completely random example. This whole thing now where everybody's talking about let's forgive some of the student loans, and there are people who are like, I already paid mine. Why would you get yours forgiven? And somebody put up a meme today and was like, you know what y'all sound like? Let's not feed the hungry because I already ate. Why would you say, oh, well, you know, we used to have guns and knives. Now y'all playing PlayStation and Nintendo Switch and whatever. I don't understand why. And look how many of y'all are fucked up. Let's just keep it a buck. Like, how many of y'all are damaged mentally, physically, emotionally, because nobody dealt with what was really going on? Y'all were just manly men and did a bunch of shit you probably shouldn't have been doing in the first place.
I mean, I think he said that for one. I feel like that happened to him one time. He, I guess, tried to be slick in the locker room, and they probably was like, "Yeah, nah, we don't do that here," because there's nobody there his age really no more. So you know, he probably went to say who was there that was still there, like Randy or somebody. Probably went to go make a joke or something. Randy like, "Nah, Black Lives Matter, nah, we can't do that no more." So now I know.
I mean, I get that vibe from like the older folks. Anyways, like. Now, just like with everybody getting all upset about all the like progress that's being made, it don't even really sound like, it don't always sound like, you know, I don't want you to have what you want. Like, I don't want y'all to, you know, have your rights or whatever. It sounds more like, I don't like change because you're trying to put a mirror up to my face and tell me how ridiculous I am, or how reckless my comments can be, or my behavior can be. And we was doing just fine being able to walk around with guns and knives and snort coke off of, you know, the locker room, the lockers in the locker room. And, you know, like the stories that they tell from back in the day. Yeah, we always joke like if there was social media, like you were saying, they would be canceled. But in actuality, like some of the stuff that the stories y'all be telling, y'all should be dead. And why is that some shit you want everybody else to go through?
Especially Ric Flair. I'm just sorry, I had to say it.
Yeah, there are some, I hate to say it like this, but they are. That era is dying out fast. And because, you know what's funny? Because I talked to Scott Hall. And now Scott Hall, I'm not saying Scott Hall don't have that Undertaker talk.
Was he on the good day or the bad day?
He was on a good day.
It was a good day.
He was on a good day, and like I said, we actually had like a conversation. Cool guy, really cool guy. And like I said, I mean, he walked to the hood with Future pants on. He always gets cool with me. But what I'm saying is, he was saying like, I don't like how Shawn is teaching the young guys in NXT.
Oh, wow, okay. Because
he said that, you know, he said if this was Shawn back in the 90s, he would have tore somebody's ass out. And he said, but you know, Shawn, he all peaceful and shit like that. He
found the Lord.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I'm just like, so, he felt as though that old Shawn would get in that ass more. And he said that, you know, that it will help build better stars like Apollo Crews. And stuff like that. He said, Apollo Crews was fucking hot in the Indies. Somebody, he came over here, he fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I would say, and then he was like, but he don't think that, you know, that there's enough fire being lit under them. Now, you can argue and sit there and say that, hey, maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. That's your opinion. If that could fire up somebody, everybody takes things differently. But when it comes to Undertaker's personal comments,
that sounds more like a problem with how you're building your product than the product is sold.
That's what I'm saying.
This sounds like a personal thing.
It do sound like a personal thing. I really think the Undertaker is in that era where it's like, I'm under a microscope now, and I can't say the shit that I used to say or want to say because under the microscope there is cancel codes. You can get in trouble, or it's just, or people will hold it against you, and I got to spend all my time all day fighting about this stuff. Because remember, Undertaker is as new to this as Will Smith is to YouTube.
But this is the thing. You're dealing with two different qualities of character in that juncture. You have people like your Will Smith who are of the boomer generation.
Yeah.
Who are, or that like cusp area, really. Where they just being themselves, and it's kind of like endearing that they old and they don't know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
But then you get to the slightly older generation where it's like, who have hella problematic views and are not used to having to deal with consequences for their actions and are very upset that there are consequences for their actions. Beyond cancel culture, a lot of stuff that they used to talk about that they did, like the whole thing, perfect example of the whole thing with JBL and Mauro Ronaldo. These are two men who are grown. It's not like Mauro Ronaldo is a younger guy who's just being sensitive. If this man has a diagnosed mental illness or issue, why keep picking with him? Because y'all not used to having repercussions for your actions. So then when you do have repercussions for your actions, it's a whole big thing. Well, back in the day we used to, who gives a shit? Back in the day we were slaves.
We know JBL don't care.
You know he don't care. Back in the day, it was okay to harass women. That none of that shit was ever okay.
It was never. I think that's a lot of people miss the point. It was never okay,
it
man.
Was never okay. Right.
But it's about time that people finally say something about it.
That's the problem. Yeah. It's like, I think that a lot of people be like, well, stuff was legal. Well, things are illegal, or this is legal. There are a lot of things that were legal and still are legal that ain't right.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, okay, well, you know, you can't just have your own barometer of what is right and wrong. Mm-hmm. Simply because you feel like it should be.
Well, that's what the Times taught you also.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of older folks aren't always willing to listen to younger people because they feel like because you've had no life experience, you don't know what you're talking about, kind of deal. When in actuality, I would rather see the generation now and younger than us who are going out and getting therapy and stuff and trying to deal with their internal demons instead of going out and like just spilling it out into everybody else in the world than the people who were doing shit like they was doing. Like, all of them wrestlers that was there when Bruiser Brody was murdered have some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
That they probably never addressed. And that shit was, we just kept moving. That's not something that you should do.
And also, back then, the rings were harder. Mm-hmm. There was no kind of therapy, body therapy like we have today.
Yeah.
The only therapy was, I go out, and the schedule was way more crucial back then because it was territories. Mm-hmm. You know, and these guys were sitting there driving for. Imagine going on there, and because if you look at some of them old WWE or especially WCW like 1999, 1991, when they would fall on the ring, had no give. And the Bill Watts era, they had to fight on concrete on the outside. And then you got to do that. Then you got to travel all across the South, whatever the case may be. And then so the only way you're gonna make yourself feel better, there was no DDP yoga. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? There was no ice chambers.
You self-medicate.
So you self-medicate. You smoke this shit, make me feel fine, go out there, go to the gym, and do this shit again.
I mean, and just like you were saying, times evolve. You can't just be like, well, we did it, and that's what we had to do. I wouldn't want future generations to go through that shit just because I had to. That was the point I was trying to make with the whole, you know, why be upset with the hungry just because you ate already kind of thing. It's like, I don't want that. Like, if I had to scrape and struggle and fight on like hard ass mats, it's like honestly all the 90s sports. Yeah. Basketball, football, wrestling, but all that shit was rougher back then. And then people started coming up with crazy illnesses. You got people like my man from boxing who can't put two sentences together. and people like Muhammad Ali who ended up with what he had Parkinson's, right?
Yeah.
Because y'all was really putting yourselves through the ringer. Don't do that. Like, why would we want that for people? Like, okay, cool, you chose this profession, but that doesn't mean that you have to be willing to die behind this profession. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. But it's just like, why did it have to be like, it sounded like this personal attack to say that people are like the product, quote unquote, is soft? Because what's the product ultimately?
Well,
the people.
The people also. I said earlier before you came in here, I did say that I do agree with him on certain things about the product being soft about certain things and being pretty.
No, I understand that. Like, because the product, like I said, it's not just the people.
Yeah.
But.
And it also goes with creative, the people that's running the show now.
You got to look at the context of it. I would, if he had just said the product was soft and left it there, I'd have been like, I could understand why he would say that, because from when we started watching wrestling and to now, it's completely different.
Yeah.
But then you add the stuff about the locker room and video games, and it takes it to a different place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about, the product is just not up to par. The product is not up to par. We all know that. When you go into you put this extension on it of you go into the locker room now and they playing video games and being nice to each other, then it's like this is not about just the product, sir. I don't know, because I saw the comments and I was just like, bruh, I get it, but
I don't know who made him mad backstage. I don't know.
Like somebody had to have said something to him, or somebody did something when he was there last time that did not sit right with him or something. Because why would you, like, why does that bother you so bad?
It could be or go ahead.
I was gonna say, or he probably just got reminded, because he did just recently have like Hog and Pig and all them out there.
You said
the
what?
whole BSK, so he could have been just reminded of that time.
Yeah, like I said, if the BSK guys want to get around and talk their shit, you know what I'm saying, and do what they used to do, and close on that's fine. They grown, they can do whatever the fuck they want to. Mm-hmm. That's them celebrating. But I can't reign. It's like, I wouldn't want no millennial, them young guys talk about some, look at the shit they doing. Let them old guys do what they want to do. But this old guy can't come in here and tell us how we living is wrong. Also, it's safe. I say, I don't know. Maybe playing video games was being soft back then. Like I said,
I also think that's part of it. I think a lot of the older generation feel like that's a child thing. It's a childish thing to do.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
But like I said, right now, like I said, because there was no video games. Y'all played dominoes. Y'all played cards. Y'all played this stuff like that to keep yourselves entertained when y'all backstage and when y'all doing this stuff on the road. What is there to do? Like I said, I told Tom Party before he came in here, nobody's bringing a Nintendo to try to find a coax cable or, set a little something to hook up to a cable box.
You're right. But again, I think you missing the point. I don't think they playing dominoes and cards and all that because that's just what they had. That's considered manly shit.
Yeah.
You gotta think, these people were grown-ass men when things like Atari and Nintendo were introduced, and they were marketed to children.
Yes, sir. You're right.
So they probably will always look at that as a childish thing. What they're not realizing is you were an adult, but the children that these things were marketed to are adults now. Mm-hmm. We grew up with this shit.
Yeah.
So it's not. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think I'm watching, like when I watch Up, Up, Down, Down, and I see when they be trying to introduce it to different people, like say they introduce it like, I don't know, Goldberg wouldn't be into it, but like they introduce it to like Big Show, I see him like, oh, this is different from what I would remember a game being back in the day, so I think those things are different as well.
Yeah, it's like just an ever so slight difference in the age makes a big difference in the way things are perceived, and I really feel like that might be
or just to quick cover too, because like this, Undertaker and Batista don't think the same, but they damn near the same age.
Batista is what, touching 50?
No, Batista's like 52.
Okay.
Batista just turned 53, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and you're right, it makes a difference, but look at the polar that was the wrong person to pick, because they are polar opposites. Batista seems like a much more open-minded person.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock to Undertaker. That's just what it seems to be. I think that folks deal with their shit differently. Mm-hmm. Like we were saying, for them, they were self-medicating. Now, people would rather play video games and get some aggression out that way.
Or talk to a therapist.
Or talk. I mean, I'm just saying recreationally, like beyond professional stuff. I just think that it's that might be part of the issue. They consider dominoes and cars and all that shit a manly thing. Because remember, didn't they tell a story about D'Lo Brown did have a PlayStation and he got in trouble? Yeah. Because he had the PlayStation. And I'm sure they was probably talking shit on him back then, but he was a young guy.
Which Booker T was playing too. Just saying.
I mean, we ain't seen Booker T saying nothing stupid. I mean, he said stupid things, but not about this.
I'm like, he about to do something stupid on Sunday, but
he
I'll leave that alone.
Probably will with Bad Bunny. But I don't know.
Have y'all seen that music video yet?
No,
I have not watched it, and I really don't want to.
God.
I kind of don't want to. I seen a picture of Booker T standing somewhere in some camouflage next to Bad Bunny. I just don't know what's going on.
That's just a GR bro thing.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why are we doing this? How did this come about?
Just like his song with Ric Flair. He just said, "Hey, I got a song named Ric Flair."
That's another one. How? Who introduced Offset to Ric Flair? Like, what? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just
to kind of close it out. I'm glad you came on here and said all that, because all that stuff was 1,000% right. And I think Undertaker looks at it, and like I said, he don't necessarily know. Like this guy, you gotta say this guy has been private for the past 30 years.
Oh well, yeah, because he been saying whatever the fuck he want to say.
You know what I'm saying?
He's taking interviews every day.
Like this man in the past 6 months, I ain't gonna say a year. The past 6 months has done more open talk about himself that he has
than I've ever seen.
That probably his entire life. Like, I have seen Undertaker on all different types of sides. He was on Hot Ones. He's talking to Snoop Dogg. He's playing
Hot Ones?
Yes, he was playing. He was trying to play Battlegrounds with his daughter.
Oh no!
On the commercial.
Yeah,
The only show he hasn't did yet is like Breakfast Club and Sway in the morning.
Exactly, because
shows, I'm done.
Oh please,
because he's doing all the. He even did a Christian thing, talking about his path to redemption. I'm like,
actually, he did this before this. That's like the third one.
Oh, okay.
He did that like.
I don't know, man.
So it's just like. He's so and I think it the best way I can describe the way Undertaker's doing like right now is he is finally pushing back the rock of the tomb. Yeah, and he's coming out to this world that he truly does not understand and doesn't have the patience to try to learn.
At first, I was kind of like, "Is he dying? Did he got something to tell us? Because like, why is he doing all of this?" Yeah. It's just out of nowhere. Like I said, out of nowhere, but it's just like so rapid fire.
And then once again, that he may see some of his counterparts being more progressive, such as, like, for instance, Stone Cold doing way more better and retired in 2003 and never came back. I will give Stone Cold that.
Oh yeah, he seems much happier.
He seems just he has podcasts. He has as you see, he has a show on USA
with a bunch of different
straight up Steve Austin.
Yeah, it's straight up. He's doing, and he has gone out. Which, like I said, I can only go by what like Stone Cold has went out and tried more things than I would have ever expected Stone Cold to go out there and try.
After that video with him trying cocktails, I was just like, all bets is off, I guess. You don't remember that video?
Oh yes, oh yeah, Cosmopolitan.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all bets is off. We just doing whatever it is.
So he went out and it was just like this. Look, Stone Cold is the same guy like the Undertaker. He's probably the same way. Thought when men was men, we did this shit, especially coming from Texas. You know, I'm gonna say what I want to say, and then probably was just like, you know what? Let me go out there and try to see what this world is. Let me try to go out there because I'm not gonna say if you sit there and told me, I would say you told me 5 years ago Stone Cold gonna have a TV show with Tiffany Haddish on it. I'm like, this fuck you.
Fuck out of here.
Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Never will happen. I bet it. And it happened tonight.
That was actually not a bad episode.
And I was just like, I think he's just going around and just, like I said, he gonna have, he's just trying. I see him interviewing, or I see him doing these shows with people that is way out of his comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Let's just be real. Ice-T is way out of his comfort zone.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he has people in this episode that's more of his comfort zone.
Yeah, Brett Favre's next show. It's not next week. It's next show.
Next show. Yeah, so Brett Favre's his comfort zone. You know what I'm saying?
That's when
we just...
First of all, he look older than Stone Cold. We need to talk about it.
So, say what?
He is, ain't he?
No.
Is he? I don't think he is.
You know, Brett Favre's in his...
Let's give it a gander, because, I mean, he looks very old, but...
You know what?
He's 51.
Who, Brett Favre or Stone Cold?
Okay.
Brett Favre.
Stone Cold
is
56.
Stone Cold 56,
Stone Cold
right?
Just turned 56. Yeah.
Again, he looks older than Stone Cold.
But I made that point because I look at, like I said, I don't know Stone Cold person. I don't. Okay, and before people try to start tagging stuff like that, I'm saying, but what I have seen and what he is, because like I said, I've been following wrestling for a long time, and then after wrestling, and compared to Stone Cold just 10 to 5 years ago, he has expanded his range to just try stuff that he is not used to. He still may not even be used to it, but I'm saying.
But I think he found his niche, and that's the thing. Like I believe I heard you earlier saying something about Undertaker saying he don't know what to do with himself.
Yeah,
he's never done anything but wrestling.
Yeah,
I think that's a difference with somebody like a Stone Cold. He found his niche, hosting and interviewing and things like that. He seems to be good at that.
Yeah.
So why not
Are y'all ready?
it?
Say what?
Are y'all ready for the Mark Kelly's podcast?
No, it's not gonna happen. But
the tell-all story of the Undertaker.
Oh no!
Well, week by week in the Undertaker's career.
It's like, and you never know. Undertaker probably looked at Straight Up Steve Austin with Ice-T, was just like, why is he with Ice-T? He probably could have said that.
I mean, you was just with Snoop Dogg, so you can't say nothing.
You really can't say shit neither.
He didn't say that. Now he had a whole ass shirt with Snoop Dogg in a hearse. We not doing this.
So, but I'm saying, but it's like trying this new stuff, and like I said, it's and that's what I'm saying. Like, he's from that generation. Hell, like I said, we see how successful Dwayne Johnson has gotten.
Mm-hmm. Now that I can see him looking at it and being like, I don't get none of this shit.
Yeah.
But I can't see. I don't want to count him out and make it sound like he don't. You know, he's just like this super closed-minded, horrible person. I just think he's older and is not as easily adaptable to what's going on.
No, and that's another thing, because we as this generation, like I said, I'm not a big fan of cancel culture, and I'm just saying, like, it's hard to understand certain people, because as soon if people see the transcripts, and they already like, I think fuck this, you're stupid, you're this, you're that, you're a Trump this, you're Trump this. So it's like, I think you gotta help the guy out also, because if the guy is willing to learn or try to understand something, but I really truly think he don't understand this generation, and he don't understand how things are going. He probably don't even understand why people are happy, and he probably is a little jealous.
But he's also not the first person that I think I've heard from this time who was just like, why are y'all so happy? It's just like, what was supposed to be?
I mean, even in the podcast, he did say, I may have to call up Dallas.
Oh, well, yeah.
And he was just like, because look at the success stories. DDP is got to be the most positive.
Oh, no, I don't want another run.
I don't neither, I'm just saying, but DDP has got to be one of the most overly positive men that has come out of wrestling. Prime, am I lying?
No, you're right.
I'm about to say, he ain't no Val Venus. I'm saying...
Oh, Jesus.
He's...
Fix it. Put some holy water on.
I'm like, just dump him in the vat. Dump Val Venus in the vat. They finally had to cut him off,
Shut
Prime.
his Twitter off. He was wilding.
And I was just like, he has, like, I haven't heard Diamond Dallas Page say negative things about anybody too much. and he's been the most overly positive person. Like I swear, the way he talked about people is like, my God, like, bro, are you their dad that you birthed? Like, I swear, like, we heard episodes of him talk about Karl Malone. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, it's Karl Malone.
But again,
he was training with him, so I guess he got a little.
But again, he found his niche. He found something that makes him happy. That probably fulfills him.
Yeah,
that's the difference. When you give your whole life to something, and then you go and you look at it, to him it probably looks like it's crumbling before his very eyes.
Okay, yeah.
Because why? It's something you dedicated your everything to. You gave your life, your body, everything, your family, all that shit up for this. And then now it's like, bro, it's not even the same thing that I'd put it all on the line for. I could see why he would be angry, or even if he was jealous of like what is happening now and how people are thriving in this business instead of just surviving, because they were surviving.